So this week's lesson, the first lesson is about simplifying with variables on both sides. So if we want to solve an equation that has variables on both sides, but we need to simplify first. So let's take a look at these first two examples. The first thing you'll notice is that on the left-hand side, we have um, two numbers and one variable. So we have 11, and then we have minus 25. And so we want to combine those together. So we want to say 11 minus 25 is negative 14. But I'm going to write the 10x first because I like to have the variables come first. So I'm going to write 10x minus 14. And that's equal to what's on the right-hand side. And on the right-hand side, we're going to notice that we have a negative x and a positive 7x. So when I combine those two together, remember this is a negative 1x. So if I look at this backwards, I can say 7 minus 1 is 6. So we have 6x plus 30. So now to solve this, what I want to do is I want to move the smallest variable to the largest one. So in this case, the 6x is smaller than the 10x, so I'm going to subtract 6x. And when I do that, I end up with 4x minus 14 equals 30. And then I'm going to add 14 to both sides. So I end up with 4x is equal to 44. And then I'm going to divide by 4. So x is equal to 11. Okay, so that's my first example. The second example, I'm going to make this a little bigger so I have more space to write. Second example, same thing, very similar, right? So we look at this, and on the right-hand side we have 17x, we have negative 7x. So I'm going to combine those two. 17 minus 7 is 10, so I can write this as 10x. And then I'm going to bring down the plus 25. Similarly, on the right-hand side, I have a positive 35 and a positive 80. I'm going to add those together, so I'm going to write this as 5x plus 115. And now I have variables on both sides, so I want to move the smaller one, so I'm going to subtract 5x from both sides. So 10 minus 5 is 5, so I have 5x plus 25 equals 115, because those 5x's cancel each other out. And then I'll subtract 25 from both sides. So I have 5x equals 90. And then I can divide by 5. And when I divide by 5 here, we might need a calculator to do this one, and you might not, but when I divide by 5 here, x is equal to 18. Okay, so inside the red boxes, we have a question 1 and question 2. I want you to do these two questions on your own. And when you are finished with them, there is an assignment on Schoology where you will submit your answers for these two problems. When you are done with that, you can restart the video and take a look at the next examples that we're going to do. All right, so the next example, the first one, we have some simplifying to do because we have parentheses and we want to get rid of those parentheses. So the first thing we need to remember is that anytime we have a negative sign outside of the parentheses, there's a negative 1 there, and we're going to distribute that negative 1 to the things that are inside the parentheses only. And anytime there's a negative 1, it just changes the sign on the two things that are on the inside. So the x becomes negative x, and the negative 4 or the minus 4 becomes plus 4. And then I just rewrite everything else. So I have plus 2x equals 18 plus 3x. And now it's very similar to the problems that we just did, except there's only one side that requires any combining. So on the left-hand side, we have a negative x and a positive 2x. So I'm going to combine those to get two together. So we have 2x and negative 1x, right? So we could put that 1 in there, but we don't have to. So that means we have 1x, or just x, plus 4 equals 18 plus 3x. And now with variables on both sides, I just subtract an x from both sides. So I have 4 equals 18. Now this is one where we have to be careful. Sometimes when people subtract x, they just get rid of the x. Well, we don't want to do that. We want to remember that we're just subtracting one x. And if we have 3 x's and we subtract 1, that means we have 2 x's left. Okay, then I'll subtract 18. So 4 minus 18 is negative 14 is equal to 2x, and then I'll divide by 2 to get x equals negative 7. Okay, let's look at another one. This one we end up with distributing on both sides. So we're going to distribute on both sides here. So we have a distribution there and we have a distribution there. And so we're just going to do that. So we have 6x plus 24 equals 10x minus 40 plus 4x. Okay, so just like in all the problems so far today, we're going to have to do some combining of like terms before we do any solving. Now, one common mistake we see that I haven't mentioned yet today is when we have variables on both sides, some people would look at this and say, oh, I need to subtract 4x and subtract 4x. Well, since they're on the same side of the equal sign, we don't want to subtract. We just want to combine like terms. So I'm going to bring down my 6x plus 24 equals, and then 10 plus 4 is 14, so I'll write 14x minus 40. And then move the smaller variable, so I'm going to subtract 6x. So I have 24 equals 8x minus 40. And then I'm going to add 40 to both sides. So I have 64 equals 8x. And then when I divide by 8, I end up with x equals 8. Okay, so on the next page, there are 4 of these, problems 3, 4, 5, and 6. You need to do those 4 on your own. Since they're in red boxes, when you are done with them, you need to submit them on Schoology in the assignment that is there for these problems.